DC Comics tends to have a lot darker storylines, and with that comes the brutalities. My name is AJ Spatola with Top 10 Nerd, and these are the top 10 most brutal DC moments we can't believe happened. At number 10 is the iconic Joker removing his own face and then wearing it around like a mask, like the loony he is. In the DC Faces of the Unalive and the Unaliving of the Family, sorry for that, it's YouTube, not me, Joker did something so bizarre it left me scratching my own face. You see, he sliced off his. Yeah, you heard me right, he took a knife to his own visage and then proceeded to wear it like a mask. At first, I thought it was just a gimmicky, shock factor move, but the more I delved into it, the more I realized the deeper connotations here. You see, while it would be easy to chalk this up as Joker being insane, this was actually Joker's deranged way of trying to make a point. You see, he used his own face, or lack thereof, as a metaphor for Batman's alter ego. You see, just as Batman's real face is the mask he wears, the Joker's mask is his real face. He was taunting Batman, saying, look, we're not so different, you and I. My mask is my identity, just like yours. Sure, the Joker's done some gruesome things, but this self-inflicted facial mutilation takes the cake. At number 9 is Black Adam's brutalities. We all know how capable Black Adam is, considering he's basically Superman without the remorse. But there are two standout instances that really take the cake for me. The first is the time he lacerated Terra Man in half. You see, instead of a warning or a good old-fashioned beatdown, no, he rips Terra Man straight in two in front of the press cops. It's absolutely horrendous. Seriously, talk about making a point. And if you thought that was intense, hold on a second, because in Infinite Crisis, Black Adam takes down the notorious Psycho Pirate. How? By jamming his fingers right through the guy's mask and into his eyes, pushing the mask through his face entirely. I'm talking about a classic Three Stooges move turned into a seriously lethal attack. Forget heroes don't unalive people, Black Adam doesn't play by those rules. If you're enjoying the video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it if you did. Thank you very much. At number 8, Damian Wayne begs his mom to call off the hounds. Oh boy. Damian Wayne has faced some seriously gruesome moments. Despite his age, it doesn't seem to stop the writers from putting him through the ringer. One of the most shocking moments was when he suffered a brutal beatdown, got lit up with bullets, thrown out of a window, and then to top it all off, he was impaled with a freaking sword, all in succession. Come on, that's some next level brutality. And here's the kicker, it was all on the orders of his own mother, Talia al Ghul. Could you imagine that? Your own mom giving the green light for such a horrific ordeal. The most agonizing bit for me out of this whole thing was watching Damian desperately plead with his mom to call off the dogs. That's the most gut-wrenching part right there. But don't worry, you guys, T got better. It's comic books. At number 7, pre-Robin Damian beheading a small-time villain, sticking a grenade in his mouth, and then throwing the whole thing at Tim Drake. Considering the last entry, we know that this guy's carrying trauma. Back in Batman number 656, Damian was introduced as a lethal assassin, hell-bent on proving that he's the only worthy successor to his father, Batman. He targeted Tim Drake, the then Robin, and Bruce's adopted son. See, Damian, raised as an assassin, thought that he had what it takes to be the Bat. But when he took on Spook, a kind of lower ranking villain, he definitely went overboard. See, he didn't just stop at knocking out the bad guys, he absolutely decapitated this one. Pretty cold. And then, to add a cherry on top of the brutal sundae, he stuffed a grenade in Spook's severed noggin and then hurled the thing at fellow Robin Tim Drake. Talk about family drama. At number 6 are the Hunters 2. From the pages of DC Animal Men emerges a spine-tingling and utterly gruesome moment that makes you question the limits of what can happen in the comic world. We're talking about the Hunters using a man as their puppet. Picture this, a nightmarish spider-like entity straight out of a horror movie, seizing control over an unsuspecting poor man's body, contorting it into a grotesque, pudding-like human puppet. That's like Cronenberg-esque. This shadowy and malevolent figure have an eerie modus of operandi. You see, they remain hidden in plain sight, inhabiting human bodies, going incognito, and lurking within them like unseen predators until the opportune moment strikes. The Animal Man's narrative is certainly gripping, but I'd advise against chowing down on a juicy roast beef sandwich while delving into this particular story, because this mind-bending moment serves as a stark reminder that within the pages of DC Comics, the boundaries between fiction and sheer horror can blur in the most unimaginable ways. At number 5, the Joker skinned a man alive. Now, we all know that the Joker's brutality knows no bounds, and one chilling moment that still sends shivers down our spines is when he skinned this dude alive. This nightmarish act was unleashed in his very own graphic novel, a tale that exists on the fringes of DC's canonical universe. Set in a neo-noir ambience, it depicts the Joker's ascent to power after his release from Arkham Asylum. The horrifying sequence begins when a former henchman named Monty foolishly hires Harley Quinn as a dancer in his club. The Joker, infuriated by this act of disloyalty, takes Monty to the darkest depths of cruelty. He skins him alive and then drags this hapless man onto the stage, forcing him to be unalived before a horrified audience. This gruesome moment, although not canon, is a chilling reminder of the Joker's unrestrained malevolence. It's the kind of raw, disturbing scene that would never make it into a PG-13 movie, and for good reason. What other nightmarish Joker moments do you think are too brutal for the big screen? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Definitely not this one. At number 4, Joker beats Jason Todd with a crowbar. The Joker, the ultimate thorn in Batman's side, has had his fair share of brutal moments, but one that still haunts fans is when he took the life of the second Robin, Jason Todd. He didn't just stop at a typical brawl, he went all in, using a crowbar mercilessly to beat Jason, and then he left him in a warehouse that was rigged to explode, reducing Robin to smithereens. Batman, in his unwavering pursuit of justice, not revenge, tried to apprehend the Joker, but the crown prince of crime at the time was acting as the ambassador to Iran, granting him diplomatic immunity, which meant no charges for the heinous act. The loss of Jason was a permanent scar on Batman's legacy, as Jason's resurrection brought on a new persona, the Red Hood, a vigilante with the lethal edge and a strained relationship with the Caped Crusader. The Joker's twisted victory endures as one of the most brutal and lasting moments in DC's history. At number 3, Solomon Grundy plucks off Red Tornado's arm. The Red Tornado, a unique character in his own right, had long yearned for the chance to experience life as a human with its sensations and emotions. His wish was finally granted when he gained a real human body. It was a moment of triumph, a chance to feel warmth and love he'd never experienced before, as he was formerly an android, but his newfound humanity came at a staggering cost. You see, Solomon Grundy, the hulking and formidable adversary, is not known for his subtlety or his kindness. In a moment of ruthless aggression, he seized the opportunity presented by Red Tornado's mortal state, and with shocking brutality, Grundy unceremoniously ripped off Reddy's arm as if it were nothing more than just an unwanted weed. The visual impact of this act was hauntingly violent, even by the standards of mainstream superhero comics. Reddy's arm dangled by a thread with bones exposed and all kinds of bodily fluids spilling, creating a disturbing and graphic tableau. It was a stark reminder that the world of DC is quite far from PG. At number 2, Sobek chomps on Osiris. Now, you'd think that comic books always end on a high note, but sometimes these inked pages are stained with moments so brutal you won't believe they happened. Case in point, the shocking twist in New 52's number 43 that saw Sobek, a seemingly dopey alligator man, convincing his buddy Osiris to ditch his godly form. And if you thought this act of trust wasn't going to end in complete tragedy, think again. Sobek goes full National Geographic on Osiris. He bites him clean in half. Imagine watching Animal Planet and the show takes a twisted gory turn for the worse. See, Sobek wasn't just a hungry reptile, he was a cunning, scheming backstabber with a plan. He was out to take down the Black Adam family from within, so the lesson learned from this jaw-dropping moment, never trust an alligator man, especially when it comes to your godly self. At number 1, Superman punches his arm straight through the Joker. In the demented alternate reality of Injustice Gods Among Us, we bore witness to one of the most jaw-dropping and brutal moments in DC history. It all started when the Joker, that iconic villain with the penchant for chaos, hatched a nefarious plot to drive Superman to the brink of madness. He used a potent substance to trick the Man of Steel into believing that Lois Lane, the love of his life, was in fact the monstrous and destructive force known as Doomsday. But here's where it gets really twisted. The Joker, ever the mastermind, rigged a nuclear bomb to detonate at the moment Lois's heart ceased to beat. And tragically, that very same scenario unfolded when Superman, under the influence of Joker's deception, inadvertently took Lois's life. This plunged Superman into a state of profound grief and despair that defies imagination, as Lois happened to be with Superman's son. In a shocking and horrifying turn of events, a distraught Superman, consumed by grief and rage, crashed down to Earth, and in a display of unfathomable brutality, he plunged his arm straight through the Joker's chest, ending the Clown Prince of Crime's life in a cold-blooded act of vengeance. Batman, who had always tried to hold Superman back from crossing the line, watched in stunned silence, unable to intervene. This act of violence was no mere accident or fit of anger. It was a calculated part of the Joker's diabolical plan to break the Man of Steel to transform him into something unrecognizable, and it succeeded. In the aftermath of this brutal act, the once heroic Superman was shattered and left in ruins, becoming a tyrannical ruler on Earth, a shadow of his former self. As always, if there's a brutal DC moment that you think I've missed, feel free to let me know down in the comments. This has been AJ Spatola with Top 10 Nerd, and I'll catch you all in another video. Later, nerds!